Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. I love you all. My name is miahtheking, and make sure you never trust atoms. They make up everything. Now then, thanks so much for clicking on my video, and I hope you stick around. If not for the funny one-liner jokes at the start of each video, then perhaps because I'm one of the few reviewers out there who can help you figure out if you need a game in 10 minutes or less. Don't believe me? Then stick around and find out. So today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam last night called Assassins Creed Shadows, which is why I'm only getting to it now. The damn thing released for me late last night, and it was right when I had to go to bed. I'm a bit late, sorry about that. Anyway, this is the next highly anticipated game from Ubisoft and the next game of the Assassin's Creed genre. This is not going to be a typical review either. This is just going to be a first impressions video. With a game like this, I simply will be unable to review it as I would normally like to, and so I still want to try to help you save money, so here's just a first look of what my initial impressions are of the game. Now, a lot of you out there may not have been around long enough for the entire journey, but I've been playing these games since the very first one. Been a big fan, despite some of the more harsher criticisms that Odyssey and Valhalla received. And unlike a lot of people out there, and despite some of the rumors floating around about this game, I've decided to just go into it as always, completely neutral and judging it just based on what I witnessed personally. I have done zero research, I've not dived deep into the inner workings, we're just going to judge it at first glance for ourselves, alright? So as mentioned earlier, the game was developed and published by Ubisoft in its various different locations, released not in early access and selling for $70. For those of you who don't know what this is and are brand new to the series, then let me make it nice and simple for you, describing all the Assassin's Creed games in one go. You play as a character from an iconic, unique timeline of Earth's history, or rather, you play as a modern-day person who uses some sci-fi tech to simulate and relive the life of someone from one of the most iconic, unique timelines in history. In these games, you typically play as some nobody who ends up joining a secret order of assassins who fight a secret order called Templars, who want to use ancient pieces of Eden to control the world. Your job? Kill the Templars and find the location of the next big piece for the assassins of modern day to locate and secure. Typically with unique stealth and assassination mechanics as well as other different features they add in each new game. Got it? I hope so, because we're moving on to the good and the bad. Up first, as always, is the good. So I guess the first thing that's good that I'd have to make mention of is the stability. When you're frequently being hit with AAA games that release with crap stability, Monster Hunter Wilds anyone, it's always a nice change of pace that a game releases without such issues. While playing, I didn't experience any bugs, glitches, crashes, or anything. Everything ran super smooth and just felt comfortable to play. This was great as it really allowed me to get immersed into the game itself. However, I would be remiss if I did not point out that there are tons of people online that are complaining about the stability that's happening to them. So I personally didn't see a lot of this, but there are people out there having issues out there, so keep that in mind. It might not run so well for you. Next up for the positives is the user interface, tutorial, and the mechanics. So the tutorial is great. It's exactly how a tutorial should be. You learn the game mechanics whilst playing throughout its story, thus allowing you to get immersed into the game. The characters while learning the controls at the same time, making the immersion seamless. Then you've got the UI and the mechanics. The UI is typical Assassin's Creed, so it's familiar, it's nice, it's clean, it's not overly complicated, and overall easy enough on the eyes and even easy enough to utilize, learn, and understand. As for the mechanics, along with being the basics that typically come from previous titles, they added in a few new mechanics which help with the quality of life for gamers. For instance, they added in a button allowing you to auto-follow people during escort quests. This is extremely nice, and not something I've ever seen in any other game. Everyone knows that escort quests suck, but particularly because your character either always moves too fast or too slow at the same speed of the NPC. But here you just hit a button and walk alongside them at the same pace. It's so nice, it's very nice. But they also added in other mechanics to the assassination possibilities in this assassin game, like the ability to go prone and sneak around easier, or the ability to actually use a grappling hook to get to places, or even use it to help you assassin people. I'll say this, with these new mechanics, I legit felt more like a ninja/assassin in this game than I have in any of the last previous titles, and hell, I might even be so bold as to claim in any Assassin's Creed game so far. There's also a light mechanic, where your ninja can hide in darkness, but the lights around can give you away, so you can use your kunai to destroy the lights and help keep yourself unseen. To be honest, I think the stealth mechanics and the overall design of the actual sneaky assassin is probably the best it's ever been, so I gotta give credit where it's due. I love the sneaky stuff. Now, the mechanics overall aren't all great. I mean, I do hate the fact that I'm forced to play as two different characters rather than letting us choose one like the last few games, but I'll go into that more in the negatives. Next up is the graphical design. Now, I don't have only positive things to say about this. The animations look kind of crappy in cutscenes, as do the facial animations. It's not all perfect, but I think overall the graphics were more good than bad, so that's why they're here in the positives. I mean, just look at this. I mean, it looks so good. I haven't seen something this good looking since you first walk out onto the balcony in The Witcher 3. It looks freaking amazing. And you can even see the light cascading through the trees, her hair, as well as the trees moving with the wind. Like, the lighting is amazing and the shadows are great too. There's a great attention to detail here with good color choices and good color contrast. Like I said, the graphics do have their issues, but damn, sometimes it looks freaking phenomenal. It could be better in some of the more minute areas, but for the most part, it's pretty nice overall to look at. Barely anything to complain about here, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it looks beautiful. And last but not least for the positives would be the sound design. But first things first, the things that I didn't like in the sound design. I don't like the English voice actors, especially for the woman you play as. Most of her dialogue sounds forced or fake. I hated it. The Japanese voice actress, however, does do a much better job, so I ended up just keeping it on Japanese simply because it was more pleasant to listen to. My recommendation would just be to play the game with Japanese voiceover. But if we take that little annoyance out of the equation, then I think overall the voice acting was well done, as was the musical design and the sound effects. Everything sounds as you want it to, and yet at the same time, while it does all sound good, the music never actually wowed me. It was pleasant, I suppose, but I've already forgotten any sliver of what the music sounded like because it was highly forgettable. So the sound design overall is hit or miss, I suppose more good than bad, so that's why it's here in the positives, but let me give you an example. Here's this scene in English.
I kept too much from you. Now, it dies with me.
Stop talking like that.
And now here's the same scene in Japanese.
わしは隠し事をしすぎた。それもわしと共に消える。
何を言うとるんじゃ。おと
You can clearly see that one is far better than the other, and this is a problem. And no, I don't have an issue showing you this particular scene because it's literally within the first like 40 minutes of gameplay, so you could barely even call it a spoiler. But that's all I got positively for the game. Now we're going to go into the negatives, but before that, make sure you consider joining my kingdom by hitting subscribe and supporting the growth of my channel. Also, if you hit that bell, it lets you know whenever I put out new content, which helps me help you save money. So make sure you do that and stay informed, alright? Alright, now on to the negatives. So for me, the first negative is the gameplay and some of the mechanics, so I guess I'll just combine them here. The gameplay itself is very basic. I mean, it's pretty much exactly like the last 3 Assassin's Creed games. Mark targets, eagle vision, locate high points, fall from impossible heights safely into hay bales. But the combat itself is actually worse here than in something like Valhalla or Odyssey. In Valhalla, you had the counterattacks, and you had different combos you could do, and it actually felt like you were struggling. But here, nah. Just light attack and heavy attack. I mean, perhaps later on in the game you could learn to do combos or learn to do counterattacks, but so far in this first look, it was just use heavy attack to break enemies' guard and then light attack them until they're dead. If you play as samurai, it's far easier to do this with the ability to just overpower your opponents, but if you play as a ninja, it becomes a lot harder to break an enemy's guard and you have to do a lot of dodging and, you know, just to get to the squishy center. But within the first hour, the combat starts to feel repetitive. I mean, it was pretty quickly. It might get a bit more exciting as you start to use different types of weapons, but the combat, unfortunately, feels like a weak point in the game. It just wasn't really nuanced or elegant. It was more kind of jumpy and quick and easy. Let me put it to you this way: when I fought in Valhalla, which again has its own issues, and I'm not gonna sit here and talk about Valhalla being awesome, but when I did the combat in Valhalla, I actually felt like I was fighting for my life. But when I'm fighting in this game, it feels more like I'm just spamming the right button to get to the next enemy. It's hard to explain, but there's just a different feel to the combat, almost like it's too simple. Then you've got the mechanics. I will concede that the stealth mechanics are far better in this game than in the last few games. However, they only apply when you play as the woman. When you play as the man, there is no stealth, it's just brute force, so why are we even playing as him in an Assassin's Creed game in the first place? Which leads me to another thing. I don't really want to get into the politics or the controversy surrounding the character known as Yasuke, but I mean, I can think of pretty much all my friends and family who play the Assassin's Creed games, and since we were little, we wanted to play as an assassin in Japan. It just made sense, you know, since they already had ninjas. So why then in Odyssey, in Greece, we play as a Greek, in Valhalla, we play as Norse, in Italy, we play as Italian, in the Middle East, we play as Middle Eastern, but in Japan, we play as black guy? I'm sorry, but that's just odd. It just is. Now, don't get me wrong, the actual real-life story of Yasuke is incredibly interesting to me, and I do love the idea of it. But doing the game this way is just so unfair to the players. First of all, the only assassin in this Assassin's Creed game is the woman. When you play as Yasuke, you're not even an assassin anymore. In the last 2 games, you were able to pick whether you wanted to play as male or female, but now that choice is gone. You are forced to play as either male or either female, depending on the situation, and you don't really get to choose, which a lot of people are not going to like. But I think what really irritates me is that I'm finally playing an Assassin's Creed game in Japan, but the male character isn't even an assassin or Japanese. I mean, what the fuck? It's so damn frustrating that I still can't play as a ninja in an RPG in Japan. I'm done waiting for that, as it's clearly never going to happen. Thank you, Ubisoft, for destroying yet another dream of mine, just like I wanted a large open world Star Wars RPG and you destroyed that one too. We have an Assassin's Creed game with assassins where half the game you're not even playing as an assassin. Whoever thought that was a good idea should be fired. The game gets an automatic negative checkpoint just for the microtransactions alone. Hated them in the last 3 games, hate them now, hate them in all games. I hate microtransactions so much that there's simply never going to be a good excuse. You're never going to be able to convince me. No positive, no bright side, simply put, no excuse. No way you'll ever convince me. It's an awful idea and I hate them, so they automatically get a negative point simply because they have more fucking microtransactions. I'm done with that crap. The next negative for me would be the pacing and the plot. It's very uninspired and unoriginal. There's no creativity here, like none. It's just a basic revenge plot. Oh no, her father died and now she must go get revenge. I mean, are we being serious right now? How mundane and overused. As for the pacing, well, let's just say in my first 2 hours on quote-unquote gameplay, I was watching more cutscenes than doing any actual gameplay. And if this is the pace for everything, then this is going to be a very long, drawn-out game. I was actually getting kind of bored, as you don't get a lot of dialogue options. The characters mostly speak on their own, you don't really get any decisions to make, and you're kind of just forced from one cutscene to the next. While playing as the samurai, it was kind of boring without any nuance to his journey, but when you played as the ninja, they actually had some amazing stealth mechanics. Too bad you spend 10 minutes on stealth mechanics followed by 30 minutes of cutscenes. The writing is also just kind of bland too. I mean, everyone is just saying what you'd expect them to say without anything really grabbing you. It's not the worst, but it wasn't the best either. I mean, hell, you spend 5 minutes talking to an old lady about her vegetable garden and what's for dinner. All for what? A fight that actually lasts only maybe 30 seconds, followed by another 5-minute cutscene. I mean, holy crap, just let me play the game. So that's all I could really find negatively about the game in this first look. So my final thoughts, well, as I stated, I can't really do a real review because of 2 reasons. And the first is how drawn out the game is. In 2 hours, I was watching more than I was playing, which leaves very little for me to review. The second reason is typically with games this large and this narratively driven, it would require a lot more time to look at it, and I try to get these videos out as soon as possible because I'm trying to help people out there save money or figure out if they need a game or not. So that's why I'm just taking a first look here. And my first impression, my first look, is that this game is not going to be what we've always wanted, what we've always dreamed of since the first Assassin's Creed. I can think of a bunch of things already I've heard online, rumors and stuff that I've seen where it's already going to be disappointing. I heard that there's 3 homosexual relationship possibilities with 1 straight one. I don't really understand that. I really don't get the thought process behind that at all, because if you were trying to keep it fair, then wouldn't you make it 2 on 2? So why were you make it so heavy-handed on the one way? Like, I don't get. So I don't know. There's a lot here that I want to talk about, and a lot here that I wish I could tell you more about, but I simply don't have the time for it. For every good point, there's a negative attached. That's what I'll say. The stealth mechanics are great, but the combat is uninspired. The graphics are great, but the voice acting is not. The stability was fine, for me it seems, but others are complaining about it, but the story is bland and unoriginal. The mechanics are good, but the mechanics are also bad. They remove freedom and force players to do what they want us to do rather than what we want to do. With limited dialogue choices, sometimes no character choice, no choice of approach to any situation, because if you play as the ninja, you have to go in stealth, and if you play as the samurai, you have to go in brute force. You don't get to choose. So honestly, there are some things done right and some things not done right. I guess my summation is that the game is a disappointment. Not because it's not good, but because it's not good enough. I have a similar issue to this game as I did Monster Hunter Wilds. There is a huge potential missing in this game. There's so much here that they could have given us and that they could have done, yet they didn't, because they were lazy or trying to push some random message or whatever. The point is, this game could have been so much more. It could have given us the best damn Japanese ninja RPG in the world, but instead, they gave us whatever this is. A half-baked idea poorly realized and poorly implemented. Again, I'm ratting on it a lot, but it's not exactly a bad game. There's a lot done right here, so if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it a 5 or a 6 out of 10, you know, maybe a little bit above average, simply because the graphics are great, the stealth is great, the idea is great, and the production value and overall size and scale is great. It's lacking in some of the details, and lacking in some of the creative choices, as well as in some of the mechanics, but to make it clear, the overall ideas in this game are well done, but the specifics are what they fucked up. So that's why it's disappointing. point. It's not as grand as it could have been. It's not so much an RPG or even an Assassin's Creed game. It's just a narrative-driven story and with things that you simply can't change where you happen to play as either a ninja or a samurai. I don't know, maybe I'm off base, but the game felt lacking as I played it. The only time I was actually having any fun was when I was playing as the ninja doing actual stealth stuff because, you know, that's why I came here. That's why I play these freaking games, to be an assassin in Assassin's Creed. So to take half the game and make it about being a brute force samurai with zero stealth kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? Especially when the combat isn't all that fun in the first place. I mean, I came to play an Assassin's Creed game, not a samurai game. For that, I'll just go play Ghosts of Tsushima. But again, this isn't a review, just a first look, and my first look was a bit disappointing. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll get better 4, 5, 10 hours in once I'm past the incredibly long, boring prologue. Either way, this was just my opinion, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's all the time I got for this, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. So until then, I bid you all farewell.